Good afternoon. This is Kara from the Transformation of Mom for ABCDE. And last week I had posted a tutorial or a flip through of a toilet paper tube album. And a lot of people wanted to see how I did the binding on that. So today we're just going to make a short little mini album, and I'm actually going to do it so that you can see how to do the binding on that. Before we start, I just wanted to show you a couple of the materials we need. So you can see this is actually chipboard from a cereal box. So we're going to need a decent sized piece of that. You will need 6 8 by 8 sheets of cardstock. You'll need a scoreboard. You'll need 3 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. And you're going to need some scrap paper for some guides. So the first thing that I want to do is, for the cover of our scrapbook, this is going to be 4.5 by 4.5. And what I like to do is I like to double up the cardstock. I don't like how thin this is. So I am going to actually use, this is one of my favorite types of glue. It's a Scotch tacky glue. It's really quick drying. So I am going to use this to actually put 2 pieces of this chipboard together. And that's just, I like my covers a little bit thicker than one excuse me, than one layer. Brayer. Okay. And I just want to do this first so that it will dry a little bit before I need it. And we'll do the back cover also. And the covers are 4.5 by 4.5. Now what I want to tell you is that you can actually make any size scrapbook that you ever want. What I usually do is I start out with my page size, and in this case it's going to be 4 by 4. And then I add 1/2 inch to it. So that's how I got 4.5 by 4.5, because my pages are going to be 4 by 4. So say that you wanted to make a 6 by 9 book, then you would make the covers 6.5 by 9.5. Again, just add 1/2 inch, and that makes it really simple for you to be able to do that. Now we'll just set those aside so they dry. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to get 5 pages of your 8 by 8 paper, and you can see it's scored at 4 and 4, and I'll show you that. So again, you're going to get the 8 by 8 paper, and again, this is a Martha Stewart scoreboard, and you're going to score it at 4 inches. Then you're going to flip it and score it at 4 inches. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this into our pages. So we flip it in half. We're going to really work that down. We're going to flip this in half, and we're going to work it down. Now, what we're going to do is I like to use score tape. You could also use your glue if you wanted to. But I'm going to get a piece of the 1/4 inch Suquing score tape. And I am going to put it right here, just along this bottom edge. Now, what we just did there was we made a pocket. Okay, so there is one of our base pages. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is going to be one page. I am actually going to go through and I'm going to do that to these other 4 sheets. So we're going to have 5 pages total, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So you can see now we have 5 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we have our 5 pages, and then we have our covers. So now I'm going to teach you how to actually figure out your spine. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get out a piece of paper. So we said that we're going to have 5 pages. So to have 5 pages, we are going to figure out what gusset we want. The gusset is simply the space that you want in between pages. So I usually like to use about a 1/2 inch gusset, especially with things that are pretty thick like this. So you can see that when this is closed, it has some decent amount of give, if you can make it flat, but you're going to want to decorate these and make them all look pretty, so you want to have a nice size gusset. So I usually do a 1/2 inch. If I'm doing some other albums that have more pages, then I'll go down to a 1/4 inch. So what I do is you want a 1/2 inch here. So then you need 5 pages. So here's page 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then you also need about a 1/4 inch on each side of this. So that gives you there's 5. That gives you just a little bit of room so that you can actually poke holes into this and not be ripping through the paper. So given that, this would be 1, 2, 2.5. And then again, we said that we wanted our cover to be 4.5. So our spine is going to be 4.5 by 2.5, given that we want 5 pages. And this I am not going to double up for now. You will double it up in the end, but you'll see what's going to happen with this in a little bit. So that's our spine size. Now I said that you were going to need some 8.5 by 11 paper. And I said that you were going to need 3 pieces, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So first thing that we're going to need to do is get our outer cover paper. What you're going to do is you're going to cut the paper, and again, remember I said you can make any size scrapbook with this, and we decided a 4x4. But to do the 4x4, we had to make the cover a 1/2 inch bigger, which means it was 4.5 by 4.5. Now we're going to add another inch for the outside cover, so it's 5.5, and these are by 11 right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some 1/2 inch score tape, and I'm going to put one piece right along the edge here. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine these 2 pieces. Simply, you're going to put the 2 of them together just like that. Now, remember what I said is that the cover was 4.5 and this was 5.5. So now I'm going to get my Tim Holtz ruler that I absolutely love, and we are going to measure down 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the bottom. And don't worry about writing on this side because nobody's going to see this. This is the inside. So you're going to get one of your spine pieces, just one. You're going to get one of your spine pieces, and you're also going to get some Tyvek. Now what I usually use is I usually try to make the Tyvek about the size of the spine. It doesn't need to be exact, and you'll need 2 pieces, one for each side. So usually what I do is I'll get a piece of the 1/2 inch soup wing. I'll put it here on the Tyvek. Let me get it on the other side here. Now you can get this Tyvek. I bought this actually in a package from Amazon, but you can also ask your local post office for envelopes. I've used envelopes before that I've got stuff in. I've even used the Tyvek house wrap. It all depends what I have laying around. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that this goes right along the edge of the spine. And this is just going to help reinforce the spine at the corners, or the part that it actually is the moving part of this particular book. So again, I probably can't see that. I'm going to line it up, and that's how we're going to do that. Now what we need to do is we are going to put half-inch sewing all along the back of this. Now I use sewing for this part because this again is the part that your entire book is going to be attached to. So I like to make sure my spine is really well and on there. Let me finish taping this up and I will be right back. So there you can see we got it all on there. We're going to make sure that it's really sticky on there. And now we'll take off the backing. And you always need to make sure you work from left to right, especially if you're right-handed like I am, because then you won't get your hand stuck. If I started over here and started working my way, I'd get in my hand stuck the entire way. Okay, now remember this is 4.5 and this cover was 5.5. So you're going to simply use the guidelines, and you want it sort of right in the center. It doesn't need to be exact. So there's your front spine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our covers, and we're going to put some sewing on those. Now I like to use 1/4 inch for this part. What I want to do is I'm going to put the side that's closest to my spine. I'm going to put 2 rows on. And then the other 3 sides, I'm only going to put 1 row on. Okay, now I'm going to make sure these are nice and down. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take off the backing. And now I'm actually going to use a little bit of wet adhesive on this too. I like to do both, make sure that it's really stuck down. So again, I use this Scotch tacky glue. You just want to put a decent amount on. I usually use my finger and kind of smear it around a little bit. Then you're going to, again, put this side down. Now, I have this little spacer guide. This is actually 6 layers of cereal chipboard put together. It's about 1/8 of an inch. I use it so that I can really make sure that this part gets on there correctly. and it gets spaced correctly. You can see right like that. And you'll put that down. And there's that side. Now I'm going to go do the other side and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And here is now the second set of the cover on it. Now what you need to do is you need to measure. So there's a 1/2 inch on the top and bottom. So we need to take off so that there is a 1/2 inch on each side here. So I usually just measure it with that, and then I use my paper trimmer, which is off camera right now. And I will cut off that 1/2 inch. Now I save all of my scraps because we can use those for the pockets or for flip outs and those types of things a little bit. So here's what we got. Here's our spine, our 2 covers, and then just about a 1/2 inch round. So now you're going to get your 1/4 inch suk wing back out. And you're going to line all the edges here. Now this method right here, this cover method, I've adapted from another YouTuber. She has a page and a YouTube channel, and it's Corene's Creation. And this is kind of how I've learned how to do this particular cover style. So now we have the 1/4 inch suk wing all around, and you're gonna brand it. You make sure that's really good and down there. Now, what you want to do is you want to try to fold this up, and you just want to get these started. And that will get it just started. Then what you want to do is you want to get your scissors. Again, these are Tim Holtz Tonic Studio scissors. And you want to miter the corners. You do not want to go all the way back to this corner. If you go all the way back to this corner, you run the risk that you're going to see some bare chipboard. You want to go a little bit out from the corner. And I like to start with the long ends. So that's just my preference. So what I'm going to do is pull this up. And I always start in the middle. And I'm just going to work this around the edge of this. Work my way out from the middle to the ends. And I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the other long end. And again, I start in the middle and I work my way out towards the sides. Just like that. Now, I like to make sure that it kind of works into the crease a little bit. It seems to help me. Now, one of the things Corene has showed me on her YouTube channel is that if you would just go like this and fold this over, this corner is going to be really pointed and so it can get caught on stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to get this and slowly fold in your paper at the corners. And you're going to just slowly put in the corners here. And then you can put down these sides. And that will give you a nice soft corner. You can see it's not like a pointy corner, it's a nice soft corner. And then we'll do the other side. Now we got to prepare to actually put on the inside cover. And to prepare to put on the inside cover, I like to put in 2 lines of sequining here in the middle again. To get all ready for this. And I like to do it on both sides of the spine, because that again is the part that's going to get the most wear and tear. And you can see I try to keep it inside of the colored paper. So now our cover is 4.5, and it's all covered on the one side. Make sure that's down real good. Okay. So our next part is we're going to finish the inside cover. So one of the things that you need to do is you need to measure this. So that's why I love this cutting mat, because I can measure it. So you can see that it is about 12 7/8. So now we're going to get our inside cover. So again, this is 4.5. So the inside cover, right now I have 2 sheets of 4 3/8 by 11. So the 4 3/8 came from, remember this is 4.5. Right here's 4.5. So I subtracted 1/8. So I just said that this whole length here is 12 7/8. So now I need to subtract 1/8. So I'm going to need 12 6/8. So I'm going to put these together with 1/2 inch shuquang like I did the outside cover, and I'm going to cut this down to 12 7/8, or 12 6/8. Sorry, 12 6/8, because this is 12 7/8, and I will be right back. Okay, and I'm back, and I realized when I measured this, I actually measured it incorrectly. I actually totally said the wrong thing. So if you measure this again, it's not 12 7/8, it's 11 7/8. So I needed this to be 11 6/8. So again, this ended up being 4 3/8 by 11 6/8. And you can see that it's going to fit right perfectly on the back of this. So now what you need to do is you're going to get your score tape, and you're going to put it around all 4 sides of this. So there is that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to pull off all the backing to the sequin on both this part and the part that I have. Now I'm going to set apart this piece for a second and just focus on this part. So what I need to do is get my wet glue again, and you're going to put it in all the spots that don't have that have chipboard and don't have the sequin on it. And you can see it doesn't have to be neat. I make a little bit of a mess. I have an old towel that I keep on my lap that I use just to wipe up little things if I really want to. Okay, so now we'll get this piece. And you just want to line it up. Get her on there and work her down. I like to use my brayer. You just want to make sure it's really good and down. Now, we are going to set this part aside for a few minutes while we work on some of the other stuff. Now, one of the things that you can do with those extra pieces is you can add some pockets and some flip outs onto certain pieces of your things. So here's an example of a pocket, and I cut the paper to 1 5/8 by 5 1/4, and then I scored on 3 sides at 5/8. And I actually have one of those to show you. So here it is, and it's this one's 2 5/8 by 5 1/4. It's scored 5/8 on 2 sides and that. What I do with these is I again try to miter the corners. So I cut it or I fold it. And one of the things that I like is I like a little bit of design on my edges. So this is an EK Success punch tool. It's a flower because I thought the flowers on the paper might look pretty having flowers on my. So I usually just try to punch some kind of design on the edges of my pockets. And with these again, I like to, you'll see my garbage bin. Some people have something fancy. This is a Tupperware that no longer has the lid. So I miter the corners. So again, I want to start on the inside and I cut my way out a little bit. And then these set, I'm going to cut straight across the fold line. And this is just to decrease some of the bulk and make sure that things aren't going to get stuck in it. So that's one of the things you can do with these. Now, what's nice about these then is if I wanted to, I like to use my wet glue for this. Everybody has different preferences. I always like to do the bottom first. I like to get the corners. I like to fold these in. And then I like to get this part. And I need to figure out, I'm going to use the folded side as my top sides. So the side that had the sequin is going to be my bottom sides. And I just simply line that up. And you don't want it too close to this fold line so that this actually closes. And we'll get our brayer and we'll put that, make sure it's on there nice and good. And we'll just simply let that dry. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually add a smaller pocket right on to the the other pocket. That's completely up to you. That's one option, or you could put it on a separate page. So I'm going to put the rest of these. I have 2 of the big pockets and 2 of the small pockets. I'm going to install those and be right back.